Thank you so much for that, Eric and Olivier. Really inspiring. I think what was so interesting to me is this idea that true inclusion is not just about protected characteristics, but that true inclusion deals with the stress, the attention, the cognitive load that we all may struggle with. Also, I really like what Olivier said there about respecting the brain, right? We know that we rely on experts in so many realms, but when it comes to things like our emotions, our attention, cognitive load, we sometimes default to some fairly basic resources that, we have the science now, we have the technology to really utilize neuroscience and neuroscience-informed tech to actually tell us much more about how the brain works and how we can help everyone work with our brains. Super exciting. We are turning a bit of a page. We are focusing on the sector of retail. Retail and customer behavior is a big passion for us at BVA, and many of our colleagues work in this domain. And we know that observing real customer behavior is the way to really uncover insights that guide strategy for customers and their satisfaction and retail growth for the brands and the retailers who run those stores. For this next session, we have a new BVA colleague for you to meet, James Keleher. He's the Managing Director of ESA Retail based in the UK, where I am, to lead the session. ESA Retail is a leading provider of data and insights that empower retailers to make better decisions, strategies, and business. James has joined us from London, and he will be interviewing, Emily?
He will be interviewing Professor Laurette DUBE joining us from Montreal. So Laurette is a professor and distinguished James McGill Chair of Consumer and Lifestyle Psychology and Marketing at the Desautels Faculty of Management. She is also the founding chair and scientific director of the McGill Centre for the Convergence of Health Economics. Dr. Dubé focuses on the study of effects, behavioral economics, as well as neuro-behavioral decision and socio-economic processes underlying consumption, lifestyle, and health behaviors. Welcome, and over to you, James and Dr. Dubé.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Emily. Thanks for the warm introduction. And welcome, Laurette, to the Human Advantage Conference. Today, we're going to be exploring the topic of precision retailing. The subject matter of our conversation is a book co-authored by Laurette, Precision Retailing, Driving Results with Behavioural Insights and Data Analytics. And specifically, we're going to look at how harnessing the science of understanding human behaviour alongside big AI-driven data analytics can help us form winning strategies within the sector. We're going to zoom in on retail, and thinking about retail, I therefore wanted to start with a few thoughts about why this may be important. So, what are some of the things that are important to the retail sector? Why is precision so important? And what are the challenges we're facing today? Well, have a think about some of these things as we listen to Laurette's briefing and our conversation. Consumer behaviour is changing. We're less brand loyal than ever before. There's more competition in the market. So how as retailers do we stand out? The channels with which we shop within are changing. Omnichannel has been a big thing within retail, but I would argue that we're not in that era anymore. We're in multi-channel. We're in an era of quick commerce where we want to seamlessly move from one method of shopping to another. Retailers themselves have access to more data than ever, but marketing departments can be siloed. So how do we make sure that consumers receive specific messages and we don't repeat or conflict ourselves? More data in itself means more opportunity to analyse, but retailers don't have an endless supply of people to do this. So how can we harness technology to help us? Essentially, precision retailing is not easy. So how do retailers deliver value, convenience, personalisation in a seamless way? It's a big topic. So let's start exploring it, if that's okay. We're going to start with a short briefing from Laurette, who's going to share some of the key themes and the context, the background to the book. So Laurette, I guess my first question would be, what inspired your subject matter and what inspired you to write the book?
Thank you, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. I need to position this precision retailing as part of a series of 4 a book in a series called Behaviorally Informed Organization, spearheaded by Dilip Soman, I think that who is a regular from this conference. When we move to precision retailing, as I need to specify a bit where it comes from and where it's going, it is not the typical retailing commerce, how to make money quick and so on. It is really to think about retailing as being the key interface between the consumer and all the products, the organization, and the system that create, that form society and that form context. So I put here, in a nutshell, the question in today that is about AI, will Homo digitalis enable a more harmony between the Homo sapiens and Homo economics? That was the whole origin of behavioral economics. And precision retailing does build upon knowledge and upon System 1, System 2, and so on. But it goes further by saying what you see there, this figure, is extracted from a marketing letter paper published in 2008 at the time that Daniel McFadden, the Nobel Prize of 2000, who was very much in discrete choice modeling, which is what retailing is using a lot, have been establishing a conference every 4 years for the model that were at the margin of economic modeling. And we started this brain to society, individual and collective choice that you see there, that give you a prequel, let's say, to what the book is about. It is what we have been creating for the last 250 years of modern development. It's a few seconds in the 24 hours of mankind evolution. So this precision retailing is there to kind of say what are all the systems that impact individual behavior, and then how does those individual form at the aggregate level consumer demand. And that's really, that consumer demand is driven by a lot of the context that is happening in society more broadly. And this is why, if we talk about the build-up of precision retailing above behavioral economics, is to say the retail sector is one among many sectors in society. We bring the capacity of AI and analytics combined with our understanding of human behavior to see to what extent we could not only impact individual, but if you look at the concentric layers that you have there, individuals are nested into business, enterprise, and other organization. Those are nested into value chain and system and so on. And all together, it is creating the society and the context for choice. And to what extent we can tap into that, that in some meaningful manner and tractable manner in embracing some of this complexity is did I do something?
That's fine.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
It is embracing some of that complexity. Is it okay? Embracing some of that complexity that brings us to enrich the more traditional behavioral economics with approach that come from complex adaptive system, where all the various sectors are joined together in impacting individual behavior. In addition to this, the various level of influence goes from the community, the city, the nation, and the global. And that is why what you get in the right corner is all the various type of AI that we need to call upon in making this happen. Generative AI has just been the last one, but before that, you get machine learning, you get vision learning, and so on. And those are the tools that are combined for bringing this capacity for studying and supporting the retail sector to do good, but also to do good business and do good for society at the same time. And that's the next generation that we are talking about. Back to you.
Thank you, Laurette. So, some really useful context about the background thinking, if you like, some of the academia behind the zoom in that we could take on retail, if that's okay. I'll be fascinated to hear a bit more about the trends, factors, the things we need to consider if we're to be more precise and harness that thinking, turning it into really practical use about how we can drive performance. So, if you will.
Yes. I want first here to specify, look at the diversity when we talk about the retail sector. You have toys, you have cars, you have food, you are all type of objects that are commercialized through retailing. And one of the things we need to be careful when we talk about retail is retail is not necessarily to be centered on consumer, but retail is also not independent from the manufacturer or the brand. And that already set the stage for looking at not just the individual transaction with the individual consumer, but also moving to a more systemic approach. What you get to the right are the various trends or the various activity into that are shaping currently the retailing. And you have there the AI, as we have been talking as the focus of today, but you also have other critical factors so that ESG, sustainability, for instance, become one of the important trends that are impacting. The other one toward more faster delivery and consideration of the full cycle of consumption. This is something that I won't walk you through those different trends, but that is something here. I move now to the consumer trend. What you do get here are the trends. It's from a report that come from Intel and some from KPMG as well, what you do see on the consumer side, trends toward a more human component to be combined with the digital and the commercial. You also get more, trying to read here, more, sorry, that's, those trends here that I was hoping. So you get essentially the more of the looking for value, looking for price, looking also for the sustainability and the human aspects. So how can the retailer and the retail sector factor this into the business strategy and to the in-store and so on? And that is why here what you have here as an example, for instance, yesterday we had a presentation of this company, I believe, called Zoe, about supporting in real time the health management of individuals. And you have here an example here of how AI can monitor this, can help making this happen. So that's an example also of this, the way AI can be integrated in the various dimensions of retailing. What you have on the right are the trends in the technology themselves, being AI for scientific discovery, privacy enhancing technology. For the retail sector, we will talk in a minute about personalization, and the balance between personalization and privacy is a key challenge that we have to face, and the technology is evolving from an interesting manner with that. You also have trends that integrated sensing and communication. We had different presentation before on how the retail and the manufacturing can be using those trends in broader technology to fuel innovation and to fuel communication. And here, this is one chapter from the book about the personalized retailing state of theory and state of practice. One of the points that this chapter is making is that, and it's really related to what we talk from a perspective of complex adaptive system, any change happen at a given point in time and a given point in space. So when we talk about the personalization journey, where indeed all the big data and AI can allow this personalization, in particular, building upon the loyalty data that most of the retailers are having, the point of this diagram here is that it's a journey, and whoever, if you want to apply this, where are you? Where is your enterprise along this journey? And one point, one step at a time, and not necessarily shooting for the complete personalization. I'm almost done here. The link between what the insights that one can extract from the data and the algorithm and how it is integrated and needs to be integrated into various forms of innovation. So what you get here in the left corner, it's an example of a startup that has been developing technology for monitoring the level of hydration and so on, so that the algorithm tells you when your body needs water if you use it in a context and so on. So there are various uses that are made here. The last point here is in terms of the trend in the industry is this upcoming what is called Q-commerce, quick commerce, where it put beyond e-commerce, mobile, and so on. Here, it is really the whole ecosystem, your whole supply chain, the delivery, and so on, that needs to be taken into consideration. And that increased challenge and possibility. The last, not the last, I have two more. The other point here is that from a retail and AI in retail, the key, a key point to make is the human at the center and human in the loop. The whole dimension of consumer experience all the way through the cycle of purchase and consumption. We were talking yesterday of the different entry point and so on. That's very here. The book also presents a good number of insights and method to what data to consider into if you want to capture the various aspects of the experience. And the challenge and possibility here, if you look at the type of AI that can be integrated, or AI or digital technology more broadly, you go from augmented reality progressively to 3D printing, then moving forward to blockchain and so on. And those are all possibilities to impact not just the in-store experience and the planning, the merchandising, and the promotion, but also to suggest innovation and communication for both the retailer and the manufacturer. And this last point here that I would like to bring back to what Olivier was talking this morning about the need for in the retail sector as this entry point to transformation, this kind of positioning of where you are currently in the context of more niche portfolio branding, or more moving toward integration, or being yourself one of those platforms that change very much the way we think of retailing, not just from a transaction specific, but also looking at it from a new approach to practice and leadership, looking more broadly to what is happening at the system level, looking also at changing the mindset for looking at efficiency and profit margin and so on, but also integrating those other considerations of risk, reward, and resilience, most importantly. And I will hand here maybe mentioning the last chapter of the book is produced by a colleague from IBM called the Great Leap methodology, where specifically what she suggests is taking time to look at the various impact of a given initiative, impact economic and social, then stepping back and looking what could be a future that could improve not only our business, but could improve the world. And then step back and see what can not work, and then moving from this, how to kind of anticipate this transformation that goes beyond typically what we do in terms of retail practice and so on. So I will stop here with my short and long briefing. Back to you.
Thank you, Laurette. And look, the first thing I would say is encourage everyone to have a read of the book, because it's a very brief summary of a very complex topic. There's clearly lots to consider, both in how we use the science of understanding people, but also how we can harness the technology that's available today. As we spoke about yesterday, I'm not from a behavioural science background, nor necessarily a big data background. I'm a retail background. So I think very practically about how this works in practice. And, you know, a big statement I would make is that clearly the development of AI has the potential to revolutionize the way that we retail in all of the ways that you've spoken about. Practically, I think about, as you've mentioned, the range, new product development, supply chain, stock management, truly dynamic pricing, hyper-targeted communication with consumers, store locations, and so much more. The big question I have is for you around this is what is stopping this happening already, or what is the big challenge in the implementation of a more precise strategy? How do we harness this thinking?
I think that one of the key challenge is that you get the data, the digital, and so on, but retail is also a lot of physical reality, whether it's the physical of your inventory, your store, and so on. And retail is also the human experience that you are creating. And I don't know if you have followed recently, Starbucks, for instance, evolution is a very interesting context there, where basically the CEO that has been there for 1 year had been focusing not exclusively, but extensively on data-driven decision-making, looking at the price point and all those for elaborated menu and personalization and so on. And yet, the value of the stock, the evolution of the sales and the margin have been very bad. And when they fired him, essentially, Schultz, the founder, said, it is not just about data. We need to bring the human experience in the store and the whole physical aspects of the store front and center in looking, in repositioning. So one of the key challenge is to balance those three core components in as real time as possible, but also as strategically as possible as a function of the positioning that you are targeting.
Thank you. So if that's from a retailer perspective, picking up on I don't know, the topic of AI, it's got lots of airtime, lots of news. People want to invest in AI. They want to use AI. And I mentioned a couple of examples of how perhaps the experience could even start to be driven by AI. Thinking of avatars, personal shopping experience, all these kind of things that are possible. From a consumer perspective, is there a similar challenge about almost the acceptance and the adoption of this more precise, personalised? Because on one hand, we would say, oh, we want it to be very personal, but are we wary of it, Laurette, as well?
I think that two facets that I would like to bring to your question. One is that individual varies, market segment vary, and if you look at the Gen Z, the millennial, and so on, one of the key part is that they have a complete different relationship to technology than me and
me
70 years old mammy would have, and that's really an important piece to look at diversity and heterogeneity into the embedding of technology into not only into the commercial service but into the life of those who use it. That is an important piece. And if I look at another angle, I think that is important is the notion of looking at what people say they would like and say what they do. And that's a key. I had in my MBA class last semester our lead, the data person from the lead supermarket. And essentially what she was saying, she said, we are not looking at demographic and all the other typical segmentation variable anymore. We just look at behavior. And there's a danger in that. In some way, there is a lot of information and insights and so on, but behind the behavior, there is the human that you want to keep trying to understand and to engage with your product and your enterprise. And I think that that's an important lesson to think as we move forward.
Yeah, and we want to keep the humans engaging with the technology. To Olivier this morning was talking about making better decisions and how good are our decisions, but actually could we use the technology to validate them, I guess. Is there a bit of a blocker or a challenge within retail? Again, I think I mentioned, I think of a practical example. I hear retailers say to me things like, well, we want to get to a position where we trust the data and we will automate and we'll make quicker, more efficient. So they're coming at it from a very commercial angle, but they're still saying we would like to. How do we sort of get over the hill, if you like, where we're more accepting of the adoption of the approach, where we're fusing the human thinking, the data, and perhaps some of the research that we do to really join it up? Because I think one challenge I see is that they're still quite siloed, and everyone does what they've always done, Laurette, and so that the sort of the evolution of the approach, the innovation, as you call it, the leadership piece you were talking about, I think, really.
Yeah, no, I think it is an excellent question. And if I look at some of the core component of the book, which what we were trying to do there, one way to accelerate the penetration in the real practice is to start looking at how AI can help the specific real practices. So, for instance, in promotion optimization, that is an important decision If you kind of work on as real-time inventory management as you can, you see one of those chapter is bringing the peak and end model, which is a typical behavioral economics, and integrating this into how can we help you looking at the timing of your promotion, your target, and so on. And when you operate in omni-channel, when you operate with a very strong base of loyal customer, I think that there's a lot of challenge and possibility there as well.
But do you think with the advent of time it will become more normalised? You spoke about Gen Z, but there are a lot of us still around working who are not from that cohort. Do you see it as a real block, or do you think that we'll move forward at a pace?
I think that it will move forward because more and more you don't necessarily have choice. I'm spending my time those days in Amsterdam for a few months, and you go to the supermarket, you don't have choice. You have to use the checkout machine that is, and you learn. So I think that for all type of the trends that I was briefing you on, the bandwagon is moving forward. I don't think we have that much choice. I think that the tighter integration between the data, the technology, the AI, the human, and the physical will be the key next step for supporting.
It's a massive opportunity for those that move quicker and harness it first. Laurette would probably be a way of looking at that. I want to come back to a point you spoke about in your briefing, if that's okay, about privacy. So with more and more data being available, being collected, and therefore more and more opportunities to analyse and use that data, how do we balance, or how do retailers balance the need to protect privacy with their ambition for impact and results and evolution? It strikes me there's a bit of friction, there's some tension there, right?
I think that the synergy or the trade-off between privacy and personalization is a real challenge. You get here in Europe, you have the GDPR, where regulation is really quite strict in a matter of fact, in terms of what you have to do as a retailer. But beyond the regulation, this personalization requires data on the past and the future behavior and so on. There may be, and that's really the challenge moving forward, maybe, is there a way to get, like the presentation earlier was talking about synthetic data, or are there way to have information on individual or segment that is less relying in following me everywhere in every transaction. So I think that it will be both technological and methodological development that can advance that in that direction.
Yeah, and obviously it depends on the use case and the specific example, but I think that's a great point. Synthetic data could solve what is, so I've just asked it, perceived to be a big challenge in how we do this. So, checking we're okay for time. I think we've got a couple of minutes. You spoke about Starbucks and where this didn't work, and you've told me about that before and made me laugh because he got fired because he didn't make good decisions based on the data. It was a great example of what Olivier was talking about this morning, or a bad example for him. Can you give us an example of where you've seen it work in a more, where it's really this theory and this thinking has really manifested itself and worked?
Well, I think that if we remain within the commercial brand, I'm not sure if they are in Europe, but you get Sephora.
Yeah, yeah.
So Sephora, for instance, is a good example of a commercial concept that have been integrating really the understanding of the market they have, what is it that the benefits that they could provide, how is it embedded into the actual beauty decision making and behavior and so on. And I think that it's a relatively successful integration of the knowledge of the industry, the product, and so on, and the knowledge of the very precise knowledge of their target consumer, and then everyone can do whatever you do when you go to Sephora, adapt your personalized product.
Okay. So just lastly, if that's okay, Laurette, this might be a question that takes longer than we have to answer, but if you could give a retailer who is either early in their journey, trying to figure this stuff out, getting moving, we're trying to harness the different types of information we talk about, what advice would you give them? What should they do first?
Well, the advice would be know yourself, who you are as an enterprise, and where are you into the overall journey of your hopefully successful enterprise. Then the second thing would be there are many open source or private solution providers out there. Take time to understand what is the part of your business where you need support from AI or data, and zoom on this in a very stepwise manner. That's the advice.
I think it's great advice. Seek some expert help. I've hugely enjoyed our conversation and your briefing. I think we could speak for hours on this topic. We probably will. But for now, Laurette, thank you very much.
Thank you for that discussion, Professor Dubé. I like that interesting example of Sephora. I'm looking at my team who are watching in London. We're working on a beauty project right now about how people shop online and offline, and we know that some of those beauty retailers have really done such a good job with a really complex category, but they know how to target their customers and really deliver such an emotive retailing experience, both online and offline. I want to check in with Adrien, if we can. Adrien?
Sure.
How are we doing? Let's stay here where we just were with James and Laurette on precision retailing.
Yeah, we talk about Homo Digitalis, right? Bringing the harmony between...
I don't speak Latin.
Me too. I'm being honest. Between the Homo sapiens and Homo economicus, they seems to get along fine, right?
Maybe it's that bridge between, yeah.
That kind of concept is never easy to illustrate for me. Embracing complexity. How do you do that?
You're the artist.
Yeah, that's not easy. So this is what I came up with.
Great.
Yeah, I mean,
Excellent.
Complexity needs some love too.
Yeah.
More systemic approach. That's one of the last thing they talk about, balancing privacy and personalization, and that balance is not easy to.
It's not easy. Not only is it not easy in retailing, I was thinking about all of our colleagues at BVA who work in market research, and it's not easy in market research either, right? To really deeply understand people and get access to their thoughts and access to their behaviors at the same time operating within market research codes of conduct, respecting GDPR. It is this tension between privacy and personalization.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a journey, really. So we have this store getting along the journey. And again, human in the loop and at the center. So this is what
Which we've heard with Elaine this morning. We heard it yesterday, right? How do we...
Yeah.
Eric likes to say that's why the human advantage is called the human advantage, ha ha ha, right? But how do we really make sure that even when we are, building complex retailing systems, that we keep coming back to the consumer, what do they want surely, but also what do they do, and are we meeting them in the right channels?
Yeah, and this is exactly what it was about, right? It's not only about data; it is about, in the end, the consumer experience, the customer experience, right? So, this is what I came up with. And yeah, I was thinking, they talk about a new leadership paradigm, leading with a new mindset. So I thought, okay, maybe that's a software update that is needed. This is what I drew there. And now that I see it, I'm not sure that everyone see that this is a floppy disk. Maybe the younger generation will not know.
They don't know what a floppy disk is, Adrien.
Yeah, so maybe I will need to replace that.
I was going to say, let's zoom out to this last session with Olivier.
Yeah, that one, I will be honest, I think my drawing will never be as inspiring or impressive as what he described, right? Because it was mind-blowing, really. I mean, driving a Formula One using brainwaves, really? Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't drive a Formula One car as it is. I don't have my license in the UK yet. With my old license from America. Yeah.
Robotic arm controlled by Smile. I mean, that was amazing. Monitoring stress level, even writing tweets. I can't do that. And really using AI to promote inclusion. So everyone is welcome. I really like that part too about improving performance at work with that example of monitoring the stress level of the surgeon, but also of the patient.
I think the next time I need some surgery, I would like to know that my surgeon has been assessed for their stress level. And I think I want to know in what order I am in their operating room schedule. Yeah.
And to finish, our friend the robot is now a tailor. Right?
He's now a tailor.
He can do everything. You know? So the machine is really tailored to the user now.
Great.
Yeah, that's all for me.
Thanks, Adrien.